Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Now, it looks like the tide is finally beginning to turn when it comes to what the British media can get away with in their coverage of Duchess Meghan. Since becoming a Duchess, we've seen increased attacks against Meghan, and people seem to be finally saying enough is enough. Now, we know the Sussex squad has held her down from the very beginning, but now more and more people with platforms and thousands of followers, in some cases hundreds of thousands of followers, are speaking out against the lies and the double standards. And to be honest, it's really about time. And you may remember me talking about this on one of the previous podcasts. We have to continue to push the American media to expose the British media for what they are, which is hooligans out for blood. So I need all Black women with media influence, or even a large following on social media, to call the British media out. Or even mention the disgusting way that Meghan is being treated. I need those people who have spoken out to continue to speak out, because I feel like there's strength in numbers, and nothing will change if everybody sits back and assume that someone else will say something about it or do something about it. And that's exactly what I feel is beginning to happen. We see that throughout her maternity leave, the drumbeat against the press has gotten louder and faster. And thankfully, not just from Americans with platforms or even Black women with platforms, but from people who are just tired of the overt racism against this woman. Now, the amazing thing to me is that this is happening all throughout her maternity leave. And I'm talking about them using Meghan as a punching bag. She's not even back on duty as a full-time royal. For the most part, though, people sat back while she was being abused as she was pregnant carrying her son, and they watched while she was abused as a woman about to endure labor, arguably going into what is the most traumatic event in her life to date. And they didn't care. They were just piling on. But during her maternity leave, which is where we are now, ironically, she has proven just how incredible an asset she is to the royal family with this Vogue guest editing spot. And of course, when it dropped less than a week ago, in all its glory and excellence, her critics came out swinging harder than they ever have before. And it seems like more people than ever recognize it for the racist malarkey that it is. And it has always been, mind you. So, by all accounts, the Vogue issue brought people of many backgrounds together for a historic moment of empowerment for women everywhere, an effort that was applauded around the globe, literally. And when the racist op-eds and hit pieces began to crop up in response to the Vogue issue, people began to see it for what it is: undeserved attacks in an attempt to both distract from her hard work and to mischaracterize her as unfit for royal life, and people had enough. Now, we first saw this with George Clooney, and he defended Meghan really before anyone else did.
A little unjust, since she hadn't done anything except just happened to live her life. My father has been a member of the press. There's a lot of really good press, and it's really important, and then there's groups that take advantage, and groups that are, now it's clickbait and they're looking for ways to get attention. I don't think there's a day that goes by that doesn't have Amal and I divorced or fighting, or I think our twins are robbing banks at this point. So, most of it you can just shrug off and not pay attention to, but sometimes it's unkind. I think it's unkind when you're taking people's parents and family life and putting that in the press. I think that's unfortunate.
The British press really had a cry over that. Like they were in their feelings. And George, in his first critique of the press, he even compared Meghan to Princess Diana at one point. And we know the comparisons fit. However, the press was more outdone by his Diana comparisons than they were about the fact that they were just called out for harassing Meghan by a well-respected global figure. So let that sink in. Now, fast forward to this week, and this past weekend, we see more people with massive followings speaking out, specifically to defend Meghan from the most vile attacks and the harshest criticism any member of the royal family is currently receiving. BuzzFeed released a great article about the hypocrisy of the British media's coverage of Meghan's guest editor spot, saying that other royals have been praised for doing the same exact thing Meghan is doing with the Vogue issue. But yet she's widely criticized. And of course, we all saw it. I would like to think Sussex Squad is the first group to see it because we anticipated before anybody else. Now others are really speaking up and they're not being shy about it. And I absolutely love to see this because we've been waiting a long time for this. In the last podcast, I spoke about how Camilla Tominey criticized Meghan for, quote, having only 5 white women on the Forces of Change Vogue cover. Well, on Saturday, she was dragged to the high heavens by the entire Twitterverse for daring to complain about such a thing, and many people flat out called her behavior racist. Many people call her racist. She's someone who was needing that dragging for a long time. We also saw Dan Wooten, who sounded like a clown to begin with. I have a feeling that very few people in England take him seriously to begin with. His criticisms of Meghan introduced him to a lot of people who otherwise didn't know he existed. But his criticisms of Meghan's Vogue immediately came off as empty and full of envy, to be quite honest. He was dismissed as a buffoon, rightfully so, but the takeaway for me is that it's not just the Sussex Squad doing the work. Largely, it was anyone with a brain, because of course his main criticism was celebrities edit magazines, royals don't. Within maybe 5 seconds, he was proven wrong. And then we witnessed the widespread rebuke of the downright racist piece written by Sarah Vine. Her piece was in response to the British Vogue as well, and it was entitled, Memo to Meghan, Brits prefer, quote, true royalty to fashion royalty, which left everyone to ask, just what do you mean, true royalty? And of course, we all know what she means, but that didn't stop people from showing her exactly where she could go with her racist insinuations. And also, who is she to speak for all Brits? And who is she to determine what real royalty is? So you had everyone from members of parliament to journalists and authors. I even saw some people stating that they don't even support the royal family. They want to do away with the royal family. But the bias against Meghan is downright disgusting. And then they felt like they needed to speak out. Now that says a lot to me. In fact, that says the most to me. I find it interesting that people with their axes to grind against Meghan, they think that they can continue to empty their criticisms and their bigotry onto the internet and avoid the consequences. Now that people have identified exactly where they're coming from, there are fewer and fewer places for them to hide, and more people see what's going on. And guess what? They see who these right-wing journalists are pandering to, and they're not having it. Either way, it's good to see people finally coming out and calling it what it is. It's bias against Meghan along the lines of gender and race, racist double standards. And they should never be tolerated. They should never go unchecked. And in the times we live in, it's more important than ever to call them out. And I really hope people continue to do just that. Let me know what you guys think below. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with someone you know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.